Congratulations on the purchase of your PNOE device. Today we're going to do an unboxing so you know what each of the items in the box are. We'll start off with the PNOE device, the flow sensor, the power bank, the two adapters that you will use if you're using an antibacterial filter, the adapter for the Drager mask when you're not using an antibacterial filter, your two Drager masks, one will be a small medium and one will be a medium large. You'll notice on the black nose piece on the right side of the nose piece, you'll see in this particular case ML indicating medium large. You'll also have the polar heart rate strap, the inline Helapet filters, the USB charger cable for the power bank, two sanitation tubes, the T connector for when you're doing gas cylinder calibration, three antibacterial filters, and you'll notice in the mesh you will find an adapter, a wall adapter with two USB ports for charging the device as well as the power bank. You'll also find the connector cable, a USB cable for charging the device. And in the mesh bag, you'll also find the backpack. And you'll notice that there's pouches for putting in the power bank as well as the cables for the power bank that are embedded in the backpack. To power on your PNOE unit, press the power button once and release. You'll see the green light turn on immediately and the yellow light will begin to flash in about 10 to 15 seconds. In the case of powering up your unit, you see a green light but no flashing yellow light within 10 to 15 seconds, you must complete a hard reset. To do a hard reset, hold down the power button until the green light turns off and then turns back on. Then release the power button, and within 10 to 15 seconds, you'll see the flashing yellow light. In order to charge your PNOE device, you must ensure that the PNOE device is on, which means that your green light, solid green light is on, and you have a flashing yellow light. This is imperative when you're charging your PNOE device. Take the USB cable that you received with your PNOE device and plug it into the USB charger. You can use the charger that we provided you or any charger that's 1.5 amperes. You take the other end of the USB cable and plug it into the port on the bottom of the PNOE device. In order to charge your power bank, use the cable that we provided you in your PNOE kit. Plug the USB cable into the USB charger and then attach the other end into your charger device. You'll notice that when it's charging, you'll see the lights moving sequentially along the bars. And of course, you're looking for a full charge being all four lights flashing sequentially. You cannot charge your PNOE device in series. In other words, you cannot plug your PNOE device into a charging power bank as the PNOE device is not charging. There's a 3-hour minimum continuous warm-up period required prior to testing with the PNOE device, meaning that the device needs to be on, again, solid green light, flashing yellow light, for a minimum of 3 hours prior to testing. This will improve the accuracy of the PNOE device. Now, this doesn't matter if you're charging using the USB cable or whether you're attached to the power bank. What's important is for the 3-hour period before testing that the device is on. Solid green light, flashing yellow light. Now remember, if you have this plugged in overnight as we recommend, it is not only charging, but it's on. So therefore, that will meet the requirements of the 3-hour warm-up period. The purpose of the power bank is to ensure that the PNOE device remains charged and warmed up when you are no longer attached to a wall outlet. It's imperative that you plug the PNOE device immediately into the power bank when you unplug from the wall. So just simply take the USB connection, plug it into the power bank, and then turn on the power bank and ensure that the power bank is fully charged, and you will see at least 4 blinking lights that indicates the power bank is fully charged. This will allow you to be able to keep the device charged and warmed up while traveling to an in-home test or while completing a test using the backpack. We recommend that you take every opportunity to directly charge both the power bank and the device using a wall charger. This will ensure that your power bank is fully charged for testing, as well as your device is fully charged and warmed up. For example, if you're traveling from one location to another for testing, you'll have your PNOE device plugged into your power bank to ensure that it's charged and warmed up. But once you arrive at that test location, you can plug both the device and the power bank directly into the USB charger, thereby ensuring that they're, again, fully charged and warmed up and ready to go. To attach the flow sensor to the device, it's imperative that you turn off the device by pressing and releasing the power button on the device and waiting until all the lights go off. To attach the power cable, it's imperative that it's aligned correctly. There's only one way that it attaches. Push it all the way in, and you can double check by pulling on the cable, and it should not release. Then you can attach the sampling line, push in until it's solidly in place. Again, it should not release without pressing the quick release. To remove, you press the quick release, and then you can pull the sampling line off, and on the black button on the power cable, press the black button and pull, and you can pull the power cable from the device. Now your flow sensor is attached, you can restart your unit by pressing and releasing the power button. You'll see the solid green light and the flashing yellow light within 10 to 15 seconds. It's an imperative that the flow sensor is attached to the device for a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes before testing in order to allow the unit to warm up appropriately. So therefore, plan your testing accordingly. A solid red light on the PNOE device indicates that the internal battery power within the device is too low and it must be charged. If there's a solid red light, you can no longer calibrate nor complete a test. If you're completing back-to-back tests with the same person, for example, you're doing an RMR and then following it with a fitness test, there's no requirement for the additional 10 to 15 minute flow sensor warm-up, as it's already warm from the previous test. It's imperative that you turn off and on the device between the tests, as it's important for the internal memory of the PNOE device, and it registers the difference between the end of the RMR test and the beginning of the fitness test. Now I'll show you how to hook up the PNOE device to the backpack. Notice that the PNOE device is still attached to the power bank in order to keep the device charged and warmed up. You detach the cable from the bottom of the PNOE device, and you'll notice that there's a bracket in which the strap needs to fit through. So fit the strap through the bracket, and then you pull the strap all the way through. Feed the strap through the connector on one side. Take the strap over the body of the device through the other side, through the other bracket, and then you tighten it up and lock it into position. At this point, you must hook up the power bank into the device using the USB connector. You can place the power bank inside the pocket. Then you take the other end of the cable and you plug it back into the bottom of the PNOE device to keep it charged and warmed up. And then you just have to close the flap to lock the power bank in position. I'll now show you how to create a new customer profile, as well as how to select a protocol and to pair your devices. Select the PNOE app, select Begin New Measurement. You'll notice that it provides a list of your current registered customers. When adding a new customer, you need to hit the plus button. It'll bring up the ability to enter all the details specific to that person. If you're creating a profile for yourself, make sure that you do not use your company profile email, as this causes conflict. You'll be required to enter email, first name, surname, date of birth, select male or female as appropriate. You can enter the weight in either in kilos or in pounds. Height either in centimeters or in feet and inches. How often your client trains, and your client's fitness goal. And then hit save. After hitting save, it'll bring you to the select protocol page. Select the protocol that you wish to complete. It'll give you a review of the protocol itself, the number of steps, and what parameters should be entered for each of the steps. You can hit proceed. You'll now enter the device setup page. You'll notice that your PNOE device will be visible. Select your device. Hit continue. At this point, you'll be able to select your heart rate strap. Select the strap, and then hit continue. And then select finish pairing unless you have a MOXIE device to be able to connect. That will bring you to the calibration page. For calibration, it's important that you understand that the flow sensor must be attached and warmed up for a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes before calibration. Calibration should be completed between and before any test. In other words, if you're doing an RMR and a fitness test on the same person, you must calibrate before the RMR, and you must then recalibrate before the fitness test. Ambient air calibration should be done outside. For the purpose of this video, we're showing you indoors. And it's really important to do it outdoors because the CO2 levels within the facility where you're testing may be elevated and therefore affect your results. Ensure you do not complete your calibration with the mask on the customer. You can complete a calibration with the flow sensor attached to the mask, but you must ensure that the tube is not attached to the mask adapter. I find it easier to do the calibration without the mask attached to the flow sensor, as it's easier to be able to carry this outside and be able to do calibration. Now we'll complete an ambient air calibration. Select ambient air calibration. You'll see a video is available to help you. Hit calibrate now. You'll hear the pump turn on, and you'll also see the light flashing quicker. It'll take a few seconds for the calibration to be completed. And you'll see calibration successful and done. Select done. And then you're able to start the test. So now we're going to show you how to hook up the mask when you're using an antibacterial and antiviral filter. You're going to need 2 adapters. Ensure you pick the right ones. The one that goes into the mask will have a screw and we'll have nothing down the center. So again, we'll have the rings for screwing into the mask and nothing down the center. And then the adapter that goes into the filter, again, we'll have a rubber ring and you'll notice the post in the middle. You take your mask and you use the first adapter with the screw mechanism in and you insert it into the mask. Ensure that you have it well connected. Then you'll take your filter, and it doesn't matter which way you put it. You can put it in this way or you can put it in this way. Make sure that you push it on firmly to get a complete seal. Don't be shy. Give it a good solid push and make sure it's well mounted. You're then going to take your other adapter. Take the other adapter with the rubber ring, again, forming a seal. And again, make sure it's well pushed on to the device. And you'll feel a solid, not a click, but you'll know when it's well seated. Then you take your flow sensor, ensuring that you're putting the flow sensor end with the rubber ring, again, to create a good seal. You're going to place it into the adapter. You'll notice that there are tangs on either side of the adapter. Make sure that you have it mounted in position so that it can go all the way in and it's not being blocked by the tangs. Then you're going to give it a good solid push. You're going to hear it click. And that is a proper setup for being able to use the mask with an antibacterial antiviral filter. When completing a test without using an antibacterial antiviral filter, you take your mount with the screw adapter and screw it in all the way until you get it nice and tight and it's very stable and secure. Then you take your flow sensor, ensuring that you're inserting the end with the rubber ring to create the seal. And you're going to be able to push it in and you'll know it's well seated. You'll feel a nice solid click. And that is the proper setup for a mask without an antibacterial antiviral filter. So at this point, you've completed calibration and you've attached the flow sensor to the mask. At this point, prior to testing, the only thing left is attaching the tube from the flow sensor to the adapter in the mask. Make sure it's fully seated and you're ready for testing. So now we're going to demonstrate how to fit the mask. What you want to do is take the black strap and put this over the person's head first, making sure that it sits down on their neck. Then what you're going to do is, I recommend that you have the person hold the mask centrally on the face, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put the head harness in position on the back of their head, making sure that it sits so it properly supports the back of the head. Then you can have the person be able to grab either strap on either side, pull forward and out until they feel it's nice and snug. And then you could do a seal test, have them take a breath in and then push pressure out, try and breathe out, and look for any kind of leakage around the mask itself. If they have any leakage, they simply would snug up a little bit more. And then have them take a breath in, block the port, and have them breathe out. And there should be no air escaping around the mask. Good. It's important that they breathe out hard enough that it would kind of recreate the pressures associated with the highest intensity of their breathing to ensure, and also to account for the movement of the mask itself during the test. it's better to be too snug than loose. So from the back, you can see the head harness is cupping the back of the head, and the black strap is around the back of the neck. And from the front, you can see that the mask itself is centered well on their face. As far as mask size selection, what you want to be able to do is ensure that in this case, it's a small medium mask. You want to make sure that it fits high on the bridge of the nose, it cups well underneath the chin, and that you get a good seal all the way around the mask itself. Ensure that the tube going into the flow sensor has no kinks in it, that it runs in a straight line in order to not affect the airflow. We do have an adapter available for Hans Rudolf masks. In this particular case, this is a single patient use mask. All you have to do is, again, to hook up the flow sensor, make sure you use the rubber ring goes into the adapter and give it a good solid click, and then you detach the tube from the flow sensor without kinking into the post on the adapter itself. To attach the mask itself, the Hans Rudolf head strap looks like this. I like to mount the strap on the person's head first and be able to put it in position, then have them hold the mask in position so it stays square on the face. You can then click in all of the posts. You hear a solid click for each one. And then what you can do is you can adjust the head harness to ensure that the pull along the upper moves just underneath the orbit of the eye and above the ear. So you can take the top of the strap and you can remove both pieces of Velcro, and what you can do is you can then adjust the head harness so it sits in the proper position. So it stays square on the person's face, and again, just turn sideways. It should be sitting up at an angle, but above the ear. Then you're going to bring the bottom straps in, and you can make the adjustments. For this one, I tend to stand behind the customer, and at first all I do is I just snug up the bottom, making sure that it feels even. And if you pull out to the side, you can keep your pressures even, and the Velcro attaches back onto the harness itself. Have the person then face you, and you can make the adjustments on the straps themselves, making sure that you pull evenly. And you don't want it pulling up into their eyes. If it's pulling up into the eyes, it's because you've tightened these straps too tight. And what you're looking for is, again, a good solid seal, and where the person takes a breath in, tries to breathe out against you, looks for any air escaping around the mask. Any air escaping? Okay. If you're going to escape around a Hans Rudolf, it'll be around the nose piece. So I usually make one more adjustments just to make sure I see that the seal is attached all the way through. Again, breath in, breathe out. Any leak? Excellent. And that's the Hans Rudolf mask fitting. So now we're going to fit the backpack. Your client puts their right arm through, then feeds their left arm through, fit it over top of the shoulder. You want to make sure that the device is well mounted, centered in the spine. They'll have a comfortable height that they'll choose. And then what you can do is turn towards me. You have the ability to adjust the shoulder straps to adjust the height of the device. You have two belts, one that will connect across the front of the chest that they can adjust comfortably. And then there's a second strap that helps stabilizes the bottom of the backpack, reaching across, sitting across a little bit lower on the chest. And again, you can get them to be able to adjust it to a comfortable tension. So it should fit snugly, securely, and at a comfortable point of height. And you can make the adjustment here. The last thing you do is after you get everything fixed in place is you'll notice that there's a small ring here to be able to open up. And you can feed your cabling, which should always be over the right side of your customer, in position to ensure that the cabling itself does not get in the way of the arm movement itself. Make sure that there is no tension on the power cable and the flow sensor cable itself. It's imperative between customers that you fully sanitize and clean the masks. To do so, make sure you disconnect the mask from the flow sensor. You can do that by removing the rubber tube, removing the flow sensor. It's a great opportunity to charge your device and your power bank at this time. You're going to unscrew your adapter from the mask and take off the headpiece and the strap. The headpiece and strap can be washed in warm soapy water and then rinsed in clean water and hung to dry. You're going to take the mask and the adapter, or adapters if you're using the antibacterial and antiviral filter. You're going to have a 4-part process. The first is going to be a soak in HibiCleanse or HibiTane, then a soak in a 70% alcohol solution, a rinse in water, and then a drying station itself. My suggestion, this is how I did it at the facilities that I worked in, and it's the best way of doing it. Making sure that you have large enough containers that you can fully submerge the mask and the adapter. In the first container is HibiCleanse and HibiTane diluted to the appropriate dilution that's indicated on the container. The active ingredient in HibiTane and HibiCleanse is chlorhexidine gluconate at 4 or 5% weight per volume. If you cannot find HibiCleanse or HibiTane where you are, you can find a solution with the same active ingredient, and then what you should do is provide information specific to that solution to support so that we can check to ensure that it does not damage our equipment. You're going to leave the mask fully submerged in the adapter for 10 minutes in the HibiCleanse or HibiTane. You're then going to transfer for 1 minute fully submerged into the 70% alcohol solution. So you're going to take both and you're going to transfer them over to the other container. After 1 minute, you're going to fully clean in water, making sure that you get all the other solutions off. And then you're going to transfer either into a drying station where they can air dry, or you can use your blow dryer at room temperature to dry the mask and the adapter. For cleaning masks, you can make up your solutions at the beginning of each day, and then at the end of each day, you must throw out your solutions for that day and start with new solutions the next day. Because of the fact that alcohol is corrosive, we recommend that you wear rubber gloves or latex gloves when handling any of these materials. So now we're going to demonstrate how to clean the flow sensor. It's imperative that the flow sensor is detached from the PNOE device. So use the quick releases, and of course you must protect the charger cable and the flow sensor cable, and be aware of not putting pressure through the wire insertion into the flow sensor itself. The cleaning process is four parts. The first is a clean with HibiCleanse or HibiTane, then a 70% alcohol solution, followed by cleaning with deionized water, followed by a drying station. To start the cleaning process, you need to attach the rubber tubes to either end of the flow sensor. Again, be very careful when you're putting on the plastic devices that you do not put any pressure on the cabling. They don't have to be pushed all the way on, but you want to make sure that they're well secure, and you want to make sure that the curves are going upwards. So the first solution will be the diluted HippieCleanse or HippieTane. We use a syringe to make things easier, and you require approximately 60 mils to be able to have enough liquid in there to fully cover all the parts within the flow sensor. Again, make sure that your flow sensor line and the power cable are completely away from any of the liquids. Make sure none of the liquid can touch any part of the flow sensor itself. So what you're going to do is you're going to slightly cant one side, and you're going to put the solution into the tube, making sure you keep an even balance so that the solution doesn't fall out the other side. And then what you're going to do is rock the tubes back and forth, making sure that you keep the tubes curved up so you don't lose any of the solution. And you'll do this for approximately 1 minute. This will make sure that you get liquid into all parts of the cavities within the flow sensor itself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to leave that fluid in contact with all parts of the internal parts of the flow sensor for 10 minutes. So 1 minute to making sure that you're getting the liquid over all parts of the cavities within the flow sensor, and another 10 minutes of just soaking. What you want to be able to do is be able to see that when you lay it down, that there's an equal amount of liquid on either side of the tube. So for example, here, you want to make sure that you can see the fluid solidly up against the top of the tube on both sides. And then what you would do is let it soak for 10 minutes. After waiting 10 minutes, you're going to dump that solution out, and you're going to move to the 70% alcohol, following the same process. So again, you get approximately 60 mils, making sure that you keep the tubes in a good position so you don't lose any liquid out the other side. And you're going to put your 70% alcohol solution in the tube. Again, rocking back and forth to make sure that it gets through all the cavities of the flow sensor. Again, 1 minute. And then after 1 minute, you're going to just allow it to remain in contact for 1 more minute after that. You're then going to pour out that solution. And you're going to put in 60 mils of deionized water. And this is to rinse out the flow sensor completely prior to its next use. And about 1 minute of rinsing here by just rocking back and forth. And then after 1 minute of rocking to make sure that it's fully clean, you're going to dump out that solution as well. It's important to note, unlike the mask cleaning, you're going to only use that solution once with the flow sensor cleaning. And these will be thrown out. I recommend that between using your syringe and the different solutions, that you always rinse the syringe between each one with deionized water as well. So if you're going to do a draw off of the HibiCleanse HibiTane, what I recommend is that you take deionized water, rinse it before you go into the alcohol, and again, you're going to rinse it before you go back in the deionized water. It's a great way of not cross-contaminating your solutions. Now for drying, what you'll do is obviously remove your rubber tubes off of either end. Again, being careful with the cables. There are two options for drying. You can place it in an upright position to allow all the water to drain out from the internal cavity and let it air dry. Or you can use a hair dryer on a cool setting in which you would blow air through one port for 5 minutes, making sure that you're angling the hair dryer to get into all parts of the flow sensor, and then 5 minutes through the other port to make sure all the internal compartments are completely dry. This is the hair dryer method is the best method if you plan on testing and retesting throughout the day to ensure that your flow sensor is completely dry on the inside and therefore have accurate measurements. Occasionally, you're going to have to change your Helapet filter. What you'll notice is equal decline in VO2 and VCO2 data, in particular during the fitness test. So to change it, you'll have spare Helapet filters available in your kit. You simply remove the black tube, and you can drop in the new filter, making sure that it's well seated. And you're good to go. You should notice a difference immediately in your VO2 and VCO2 numbers. For the antibacterial and antiviral filters, these are single use, single user, meaning that you can only use it on one person once and then it must be thrown out. If you choose to use antibacterial and antiviral filters on all your customers, meaning that if you're going to do 6 tests, you're going to use 6 different filters, then you only have to clean your flow sensor at the end of the day.